What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Planbri Uncut, brought to you by the amazing, the delicious, my favorite, my best friend, High Noons. We've got a vodka, we've got a tequila seltzer, we've got a non-carbonated iced tea, which is my favorite at the moment. It's under 100 calories. It's made with real juices. It's simply delicious. So if you haven't tried it yet, you can go to highnoonspirits.com and go find it near you. I mean, you're living under a rock if you haven't had a High Noon yet, but go do it. Okay. Honestly, for this episode, I wish I could just have a paper bag over my head. I don't want anyone to look at me, but I have so much to say, so I guess you guys have to look at me. We're on YouTube. I feel like most of you guys watch this podcast instead of listen to it, but we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about, I did just go on a Hawaii trip. I'm getting a full body scan today. That's kind of also why I look like shit. I had to get all my extensions taken out. I can't wear makeup. Actually, I feel like I made that up, but I have to take all my jewelry out. I just look like ass. I don't want you to look at me. So close your eyes and listen and fall asleep and then pretend that this is me talking in your ears and you don't have to look at me. We have to talk about some fucking tea that I was told. Honestly, I hated that I just said tea, but some drama that I was told yesterday by my old hairdresser. I actually was I was stopped in my tracks when I heard it. It was the most insane thing. And Planbri's back. So I figured, why the hell not? This is why I have my podcast back, so that I can talk about things that are happening in my life. We're going to talk about the Special Forces finale and kind of I really haven't talked about Special Forces that much. So my whole entire experience on it, I guess. And then a little bit about the last episode of BFFs and kind of a little bit more in depth of why it really ended and what happened with me and Dave on the live stream and just yeah. So we're here to chat. I was going to have Noah on again today, but I'm an idiot and I had a bunch of shit for Special Forces yesterday, so I kind of messed it up. But you guys loved the last episode, so I'm thinking, someone commented it and I thought it was the best suggestion ever. Next week, or after the holidays, he's going to come on and ask me all the questions that guys want to ask girls. Kind of like exactly what I did with him, but I'm in the hot seat this time. But I don't think my answers are universal. I feel like I'm just not normal. I think I have something wrong with my brain, which is why I'm getting a brain scan today. But guys, okay, I went to Hawaii last week and I don't even know where to begin with it. So I went on this trip and I talked about it a little bit before with someone that I knew or I know, and we've only really hung out 3 or 4 times. I met him last year. Great guy. Super easy to talk to, super chill. And I went to a wedding where I knew absolutely nobody. He was the only person that I somewhat knew. So I get to Hawaii and I wasn't really freaking out until I landed there, because it was like, oh my God, now I have to go stay in a room with him. I have to make a conversation and I have to 3, meet all of these people that I haven't met. What if they 1, suck? What if they 2, hate me? What if they 3, just aren't the same as me? What if we don't get along or it's miserable? I don't know. I was kind of starting to freak out once I landed. I got there. It was great. Everything changed. I was in a great mood. I was I don't know why I'm so stressed out. And I think the best thing about going into these situations, and especially after coming out of a bad relationship and just not dating again, I think you put so much pressure on yourself, at least in the beginning of when I got out of my relationship. I put so much pressure on the next person that I actually give a chance or that I date. Not that it's the Hawaii guy, but just in general. I want to marry. I don't want to put myself through dating again. I don't want to be in a 4-year relationship and then it ends or something crazy happens. I really just don't want to dedicate my time to someone that's not worth it, or 2, waste my time on a dead end. So that's why I've really been taking off so much time from dating, and I'm still not dating. I don't even know if I would consider this Hawaii trip a date. I feel like it was more of a friendship thing, but I did leave with a crush. So we're going to get into that too. I feel like a little kid again. I'm oh my gosh, I have my first possible crush. But going into it, I think what made it easier, and this is for anyone that's going through a breakup or trying to get back on the horse and trying to get back into dating, is to not have that cloud over your head of the pressure of oh my gosh, there's so much pressure going into this. I don't want to fuck up the way that I did last time. And you're comparing everything to your relationship that was prior. So I was talking to Sean Johnson about this yesterday, actually, because she's trying to set me up with one of her friends. I'm very adamant about how I don't want to date, and I think guys are awful, but I'm also very adamant on the fact that I know that's because of what I went through, and I know that it's probably not true. And we were talking about her husband, Andrew, and how he kind of restored my faith in men and in like the humanity of men, to be honest. I did special forces with them, and they are just like the most amazing people ever. But I was talking to her about it, and she told me that she had the same exact experience with Andrew. So when she met her husband, Andrew, and it will all be also on her podcast, so I'm not just like kind of outing her. This is like not a private story, but she told me that when she met Andrew, it was about like 10 dates until she finally gave him a shot, not even in the sense of like, oh my God, this is my man. Like, okay, I'm going to take the walls down. Like, she still thought it was all fake, that there was no way he could actually be a good guy, that he could be this good person. She was like, he's definitely manipulating me. He's definitely not a good guy, because she's been down like kind of the same path as all women have, of just kind of being shown that you're a good guy and then it all goes away. And she was like, I had to put the work in. I had to really dedicate myself to him and give him a shot at proving to me that not all men are awful. She said it took her 9 months finally until her guard was down. And she was like, okay, this isn't a ruse. Not all people are bad, and you actually have to give the effort. And she's like, it's not always going to work, but if you give the effort, then you might receive what you actually want to. So that was crazy to hear, because knowing Andrew, he's the best person in the world. And for her to even have her guard up with him and think that it was all fake and that it was all going to come to an end, it was like, okay, the way I'm feeling isn't necessarily like insane. It's kind of normal, and it's not a bad thing. It's only been a year. So I think taking the pressure off of going into dating and feeling like this person has to be a certain way or has to be perfect, or like comparing all of their things, their red flags, their green flags to past relationships, get rid of that. Because I did that when I went to Hawaii, and I had such a good time. I did feel like I was working a little bit because I didn't know anyone that was on the trip. And the guy that I was with works a lot. So he was kind of working the whole time that we were there. Not the whole time, but he was working a lot. So I was kind of thrown to the wolves with all of his friends, and it was awesome. I ended up meeting such amazing people. I had such a good time. I had such a good time with this guy. The wedding was beautiful. It was in Hawaii. I've never been before. I met so many people, and I felt like, oh my God, I'm back to being me. Like when I used to be in my last relationship, I would go on these trips and I would meet these new people, but I wouldn't be comfortable enough to be myself, because it became a problem when I like talked too much, or I was the quote unquote center of attention, or I was liked more than he was liked. It was my fault, and then I was like punished for it. So for the past kind of year, trying to navigate getting back to myself, I feel like I lost that part of me, and I would always be kind of standoffish, or just not talk as much, or just speak when spoken to. And this trip kind of helped me realize that I was back to the old Brie, and I could go into a room of strangers and light it up and have a blast and talk to these people. So if I got anything from that trip, it was that. I felt really good about myself after, and I just felt relaxed for once in my life, although I didn't really sleep that much. And the last day I went cliff jumping with a bunch of people that I had met that day. I think I like ruptured my eardrum. It was insane. And then I nearly missed my flight home. I was with this girl. She was such a sweetheart, but she was a Brazilian influencer, and I met her. She was dating one of the guys that was at the wedding, or they like flew her out or something. And guys, I've just never met someone like that before. Like, she didn't know the bride, and at the wedding, she went up to the bride and like held her hands. Well, she was fucked up, and she was like, granted, I was high. She was so sweet, but she grabbed the bride's hand. She'd never met her before, and just like started praying over her and like sobbing with her. And It's just like so crazy because I obviously had never met the bride either. And it's just something I would never do. And this girl was so comfortable doing it. She was so genuine doing it. She was just one of a kind, a kind of girl that I had never met in my life before. And she was so nice. It was kind of just like eye-opening. There were so many different types of people there. And at this wedding, there were a lot of like billionaires. It was crazy. Like I felt like I was hanging out with my friends from home, but then they would drop in subtle things like they're billionaires. And I started having these conversations with a few people. And, once the Mai Tais are flowing and you have me in a corner, I'll ask anyone anything. And I also don't know these people, so I didn't know any boundaries or like things that I shouldn't ask, or I didn't know who they were to begin with. So I didn't know if I was talking to a billionaire when I asked them these questions. There were a few instances where I was having conversations and we started talking about these people's families, and there was like some friend of a friend that was there, and no tie to the wedding party or those people, but they also come from a lot of money, and it's money that they kind of came into later in life, like their family. And I was talking about what it's like to have that much money, because like I talked about a lot on this podcast before, I grew up fine. I grew up like all right. My parents made enough money to where I never was struggling. Like I always had a roof over my head and food. My mom was a bus driver. My dad's a truck driver, mechanic. So I never struggled with wondering about like my safety or my health. But these people grew up with like multiple $100 million mansions, right? Like they vacationed every month in a different country. They have like 200-foot yachts. They have 2 private jets that they own. So I'm talking to this guy, and we really start going in on like the way that we were brought up and the differences in how we were brought up. And I talk about how I now am completely financially dependent on my own, and I have been since I was 18, and how I get so not worried, but when you don't know where like your next check is coming from or what your next year looks like, and you don't have a safety net, which in my career, a lot of the influencers in New York City do, like they do this job as a hobby. Like their parents are bankrolling their apartments. Their content was interesting to begin with because they've just been bankrolling. They've been bankrolled by their families, which I'm so jealous of. I'm not saying like it's a bad thing. I fucking wish I was a Nepo baby. I say it all the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with nepotism. If my parents were rich, I would eat that shit up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I wouldn't have to worry about anything. And I don't get why we make fun of Nepo babies. I'm completely and utterly jealous of them. But there's a difference in the way that I live compared to the Nepo babies in my situation with my career, because they don't have to worry. Like they're just doing this job to do it. There's not necessarily like, there's not a plan for them. They're just like, I'm doing it because I can and it's making me extra money, but I have my parents to bankroll me. I don't have that. So I'm talking to this guy about that and how, like I actually care about this career and the future of it and where I'm pivoting and where I'm going. At what point is money something that's hurting you instead of something that's helping you? And this person that I'm talking to, they come from a family of billionaires, and they were like, wealth is amazing, but the moment that you have too much of it, like, of course, money does buy happiness. Money buys safety and money buys health. So once you're in a position where you're comfortable and you're not worrying about anything and you can go on vacation whenever you want, that's when you're happy. He was like, when all the excessive amounts of money come in, when you're playing this money hungry game, like we're chatting, and there was another family who, this guy sold his company for like $40 million. And they came from very humble beginnings, the same thing as me. Sold his company for $40 million. They go out on their boat. He kind of stops working for a year or two. They go out on their boat, and you would think, coming from nothing, selling your company for $40 million, you go out on your boat, you would think you would be so like happy, content, thrilled. You just sold your company for $40 million. You get out there, you're out on the bay, you're on this amazing boat that you bought. It's a $4 million boat. And you're looking around, and now you start noticing the $10 million boat. And then you start noticing the $100 million boat. And then you start wanting to be invited to those parties. And you start looking at your boat and saying, is this even enough? I got a taste of it, but I only got the smallest amount of it. Jim Carrey came out recently and said he thinks everyone should go out and get rich and famous so that they can realize that that's not the answer and that's not going to make you happy. I'm not rich and famous. I'm like the smallest. I'm like an F-list celebrity that makes like decent money in New York City. I even experience that sometimes. So like to hear it from these people, it almost made me really happy. I'm like, okay, we shouldn't be chasing those things. And that's like I've said it from the beginning. Like money is just shouldn't be the sole like source of fulfillment for you. And that kind of goes into kind of why we ended BFFs too. We talked about it a little bit. I guess I'll pivot to that. But the last episode of BFFs was on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it came out. I think we recorded it Tuesday. We did a 6-hour live stream, which was insane. And people keep asking, why did it actually end? Like, was there something that happened behind closed doors? When did you know this was going to happen? And I think people asking this question aren't people that actually listen to BFFs, because this has been in the works for months. We knew this was coming to an end, just like we knew Dave was leaving the podcast months before he ever left the podcast. He wanted out because he felt like he was talking about people that were way much younger than him. And then Josh and I just like didn't want to say goodbye to it. We really still loved doing it. And we didn't want to just give up because Dave left. So we did it for almost a year. I think it was almost a year that we did it without Dave, or it felt like a year at least. And the reason that we ended it was because we just weren't having fun anymore. I think if we were in the same state or we were in the same room when we recorded, it would feel more genuine. When you just have a headline sheet and you're propped up in front of a Zoom camera and you have to talk about these headlines, maybe you guys enjoyed it, but we didn't enjoy it anymore. All right, guys, quick commercial break. We can't wait for the amazing concerts coming up this winter, but what we don't want to think about is the hassle of buying tickets. We want to focus on the music, not the cost or the stress. Game Time puts the power back in the hands of the fans. It's your go-to hack for scoring amazing tickets and unforgettable experiences in just a few taps. So it's incredibly easy to use, and the Game Time guarantee means you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Do you know how many times that I haven't used Game Time and I get to a fucking concert and they tell me that my tickets are fake? Granted, I'm a girl, so you can cry and they'll let you in. But imagine you're not a girl. And imagine you can't cry on command. That's going to suck. Plus fees are always included. So what you see is what you get, and you're not going to have to fake or cry to get into a concert with Game Time tickets. They're going to be real. I was looking at tickets for my queen, Olivia Dean, because she's going on her own tour. Thank freaking God. I cannot wait. Tickets were $216, which, I mean, she is a hot commodity in the street. These tickets are going to be insane. You should get them now. You should get them with Game Time. I can't wait. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PLANBRI for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PLANBRI for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. Let's get back to the show. So with BFFs, it just like, it was fizzling out. I mean, we all watched it happen. You could tell we lost interest in BFFs kind of when we stopped being together. When Dave left, it was a completely different show. And the fun of BFFs and when we liked talking about people was when we had to explain it to Dave. Like, that's when Josh and I really enjoyed it, because it was this dynamic that no other podcast had. And why BFFs was so fun, it was because we had this guy that had no idea what was going on, and he's older, and it was like the two TikTok kids trying to explain it. So then when you take that element out of it and you still try to keep it the same show, it just doesn't make sense, because it's two people that know TikTok, know some of the people that we're talking about, and you lose that funny dynamic. So we tried to do it differently, where we didn't do headlines, which we loved, but the viewers didn't. They were like, I watch BFFs to get my pop culture fix in. So we were like, damn, okay, we can't just turn our backs on the people that have been watching this podcast at that time for the past 4 years. So we were like, all right, we'll keep it the same format. We'll do headlines. And we just didn't enjoy doing the headlines anymore. And there are plenty other headline podcasts out there for you guys to get the fix. And it just wasn't the same dynamic, and we didn't enjoy talking about people anymore. We really did just outgrow it. So we did the 6-hour live stream, which was amazing. I think it turned out being 6 years because 6 hours, because we couldn't say goodbye. Like, we were genuinely upset about it. And Dave did come on the podcast for a little bit, and I hated the way that it kind of ended with that was Dave's last episode and like what happened between me and Dave on the podcast. Like the whole Kirk shit got brought up, and it's the first time I've ever talked about it. It's the first time I've truly ever really talked about it with him. I've only ever like asked him, why is Kirk talking about me before? Or I like made an HR complaint when I had people outside of my house. Like I never talked to Dave about the Kirk stuff because I'm like, what's the point? He has a podcast with him. Like it doesn't matter what I say, to be honest. So I was in my element and I was like, it's the last episode of BFFs. Let me just get this shit off my chest. And it got heated and you could tell Dave was upset. You could tell I was upset. As he left the pod and we talked about it more and more, I kept trying to reiterate, I'm like, that's not the Dave and like the relationship I want BFFs to be left on. Like BFFs was so amazing. I enjoyed every single episode. Like I'm so grateful for what that podcast was and the relationship I had with Dave on that podcast. And like, I don't want the memory to be tainted of what BFFs with Dave was from that. But I guess, was it yesterday? I guess. Well, when we're recording this, I guess it was yesterday, but I don't have Twitter, so I don't know anything that goes on really in the Barstool world, to be honest. I haven't had Twitter in 3 years. I don't even know. So I haven't had Twitter in years. I don't tweet. I never really was big into Twitter anyway. So I didn't know that this happened, but I guess Dave went on Unnamed and talked about the situation. So I'm going to watch it here with you guys. I want you guys to watch it too. I think it's kind of long. We'll cut it up so that there's filler or whatever. You don't have to listen to the filler, but I do want to listen to it and live react to it after. So let's.
Then Chicken Fry on our story was basically chirping him, and the Minifans went bananas. Not Kirk, though. Kirk, I think the Minifans are talking out of school in terms of like going at Brianna, because Kirk tweeted, like the only thing he tweeted, like, yeah, like, I get it when I'm me and in battles with people, and when then I have to take a leave, I get that opens me up. That's part of his deal. Like, that to me, absolutely fair game that Chicken Fry did that. They are in a war. So, yeah, when you have a weakness, like that happens. So all these people, the Minifans, even all the way to like Mutt, like to me, that's like a shut up. And I think Kirk would say that if he was here, be like, yeah, well, I mean, that's part of the deal. Now, the flip side of what I've said is when he comes back, and I'm dreading it in a way, like I want him to be healthy, but I don't want to deal with this firestorm, and hopefully it maybe simmers down. But no one can be like, well, why are you talking about me now when this happened? But I think that was totally fair play by her. I do.
I mean, yeah, he said it pretty much. He said,
yes,
like, everyone's good. I make fun of everyone. So when this happens, I know they'll come at me.
Yeah. Don't tell that to the Minifans, though.
Well, even Clemmer. I saw Clemmer make a post going at her. Now, I watched your clip with her.
I was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you could tell. You were, for a guy who kind of loves being in uncomfortable situations, you were really, really squirming.
I don't like this one. And I don't like it when Kirk talks about it. I'm always uncomfortable in this situation.
So as somebody who's been on the Kirk Minahan show, friends with Kirk, I'll say, like, I'm pretty sure his hatred for her started. And listen, he said things about her that I wouldn't say, but he says it about everyone. But it wasn't brought up with you guys that she did or did not try to get him fired, Dave. That's kind of...
Did not. That's a total lie.
So you fired him on your own then?
Yes, I was so mad. That's a total Minifan change of truth. She did call me and she's like, why is this guy talking about me? I don't know him. So
you firing him pretty much fucked her by putting her in his crosshairs.
Well, I told him that. I mean, the Minifans, including Kirk, will say things that aren't true. And where it sometimes gets sticky, like when we talk to Kirk, we know when he's telling a joke and not.
Yes.
Like, we know it. He'll say something like kind of off the cuff factual, but it's not factual, but we know it and it rolls off. So you know, the Minifans are like, this all started because Brianna got mad about the Taylor Swift. Well, that's kind of totally disingenuous. Like, yes, it was about the Taylor Swift, but the clip is like, she's the biggest fraud at the company. She's a total fraud. Like, nobody likes her. And she's going, at this time, she's going through it on her own end with everything. And she called me. She's like, why is he talking about me? Like, on her snark pages, they're taking what Kirk's saying, be like, see, even her own employees, her own coworkers hate her guts. Those people aren't connecting. Like, they don't even know each other. So from Kirk's perspective, he's like, what does she care? We don't know each other. This is how I talk. And it rolls off most people. Didn't roll off here. I get her point of view. I get him being like, well, I always talk like this. Who fucking cares? But I certainly get, and I tried to say it on when BFFs, the affiliation that they both work at Barstool led everybody who didn't like Brianna to be like, see, everyone fucking hates her. But Kirk really was just doing Kirk, but they don't know each other. So she's like, what the fuck? Why is that happening? And then it just snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. But she never was like, fire Kirk. She called me and she's like, why is Kirk talking about me? And I got so mad because I was
firing him.
I was yelling at him and I got so mad. I was like, shut the fuck up, and hung up. And then I called back. I'm like, I 4 seconds later. But she never was like, you have to fight Kirk. That never happened, never came out of her mouth.
She has to come on the show. And you were like, that's probably not a good idea.
Well, that you probably should have had her on the show.
So I said that early when I was
phone
like,
call.
I said early, that's where maybe I gave wrong advice.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
you've misplayed this one in a couple bad ways. I mean,
well, that's the only one maybe. Later, I was like, maybe do go on the show, but it was too far gone.
If she had come on the show, I think that, like, at the end, he'd have been like, all right, Brianna, nice talking with you.
Run down the list of people that have been on his show that he's been wars with. He's ended up good with them. Brandon Walker. I mean, I guess K. Marco would be one that he wasn't, but there's everyone that he's been on the show with. He usually buries the hatchet with.
But there's
he just wants to go at him. He wants to go at him, and then at the end,
in some degree, and it was probably a mistake. I actually texted her, I was like, that probably wasn't great advice in hindsight. I was trying to do what I thought was best because she really has no clue who he is. It's like, so if you're not familiar at all with him, his world, anything, then to go on the show, I was like, just let it go and it'll go away. That's kind of what I thought would happen. I was totally wrong, but that's what I thought.
Why do you get, Whit said it earlier, when you're on the BFF stream, you looked uncomfortable. What puts you so uncomfortable with those? Because you're great in like almost any situation. Like that, that's what I'm someone who's been around you. You are different in that situation.
People, listen, I do not generally interact or do like, I know you have to treat different people, different situations differently. So this is a situation where I'm never going in where it's like somebody's really being like mentally affected by it.
You chose
and in
love.
This situation, what?
You chose love this time.
Yeah, like I'm not. I've said it. I've said it in different circumstances. Like I'm not trying to actually like fuck with somebody's like mental state or something, like if I don't think they can handle it. So these are two people in my head. They're in different worlds, and they shouldn't. And we have that at Barstool. We have people in different worlds, and they should probably stay sort of in different worlds. So, you know, I'm in the middle of it because I'm friends with Brianna and I'm friends with Kirk. And sometimes it's hard to explain, well, why do you even have Kirk? Like, why is he attacking me? Why does he want to create this? It's like, well, he's a psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. Kirk's hatred started with me because I didn't like Taylor Swift, then I did. And then he bullied me for a year. I never wanted to get Kirk fired. I don't know who Kirk was. I only know who Kirk is now because he talked about me for a year. I don't give a fuck about Kirk Minahan, but who I do give a fuck about is my friend Dave. So that's why I got heated about it. And I mean, yeah, Dave said it best, or Whitney said it best. They've made a couple bad decisions and then it fucks me, which I feel like that's where everything happens with like me. It's like just bad decisions, and then I get like steamrolled into the Kirk Minifan thing. Like I don't I don't fucking know. It's a world that I don't want to be a part of. When Kirk comes back and screams and cries about me, I'm not going to react to it because I don't have Twitter, so I'm only going to see it if someone sends it to me. And it's like, those people don't even cross my desk. Those people are just people that are in like my Reddit forums. Like, they're not real people. Like, they don't comment on my videos. They're not on my pages. They're just in this like hate stratosphere. So the way that you saw me get really upset on BFFs, if you are a regular person, like, you understand why. Because like, Kirk created this narrative that everyone at Barstool hates me and I'm a fraud. And it's like, that's Kirk saying this, someone that has never met me. And then I get frustrated that like my friend Dave has a podcast with him. So the only reason I'm upset in bringing that up is because I hated that that's how BFFs ended with Dave. And he was really uncomfortable. And like, it made sense. Like, it's just like, it's such a weird situation, but glad he cleared up that I never tried to get him fired and that I did try to go on the show. And then he told me not to go on the show. And now I don't want to go on the show because I don't give a fuck and I don't want to give like attention to it. But in the beginning I was like, hey, what the hell, man? Let me talk to this guy. And he's like, it's not worth your time. And now everyone's like, no, you should have went on the show. It is worth your time. Well, can't go back in time, guys. All right, guys, quick commercial break. Big news. There's a new membership program, and it's just for students. It's literally making me want to go back to school because it's so good. If you're heading back to campus this fall, Uber One for Students is the best way to save on food and rides. Plus, it comes with a lot of perks you might not know about. For example, members get $0 delivery fees, up to 10% off eligible orders, and 6% back in Uber credits on rides. If you're a student, it's a no-brainer. You can also get free items on eligible orders throughout the week, like a free taco from Taco Bell every Tuesday, a free chicken sandwich from Popeyes every Friday, and more deals for every day of the week from brands that you love. You can try it out now and get your first 4 weeks free. Become an Uber One for Students member and start saving on Uber and Uber Eats. Eligibility and member terms apply. Let's get back to the show. But if I could go back in time, I would like to relive the first 2 years of BFFs because that show was so much freaking fun. When we were going through like memory lane and going down all of the stuff that we went through, all of the like old videos, all the games that we like used to play, like Boomer vs. Zoomer, the stupidest game ever. Those clips used to do like tens of millions of views. People loved it. People started playing that game. Like, it's just so crazy to think that BFFs was like this pioneer podcast of TikTok culture world and like the first TikTok podcast, and then all of the people that saw how well BFFs was doing, creating their own podcasts out of it, and then stay long lasting and like creating these empires, all of these people. But it's cool to say that BFFs did it first, and like it's so bittersweet to see it go, but it's also really cool. I feel like I finally have like closed one chapter of my life. I feel like this Barstool experience for me has just been ongoing and everything has been the same. And whether like this Barstool chapter lasts however much longer or I decide to move on to a next chapter, it's like this BFFs chapter of my life is closed, and it was so amazing and it was so much fun, and I'm so grateful for meeting Josh and like having that friendship in my life. I'm so grateful to know Dave and to have him in my corner for the times that I need and like the times that he comes to my defense. And I just hate that when he defends me, like Dave is getting more hate than he has ever gotten ever right now. He's obviously saying it's not affecting him, but even like when we brought up the Jewish stuff and the people being like so anti-Jew to him, like you can tell it's affecting him in a way where it's just really upsetting that that's what the world has come to and that so many people are just allowing it to happen or like not reacting to how insane it is. And that goes like, I know that they get super political on that show or they like go back and forth about that. In my world, it's just like when it goes Palestine and Israel, anyone that's super crazy Palestine hating Jewish people and anyone that's super Jewish hating Palestinians, it's like what we have to realize that it's so crazy and you can't speak about people and their religions and who they are in this way. And it's so scary that all of Dave's comments now, everything that he's tagged in or posted, all of his interviews, like all the comments are just about him being Jewish and how he's like a Jewish piece of shit. It's really scary, to be honest. So like, I think that is affecting him more than he's leading on. I mean, and I could be totally wrong, but it's just crazy that I want people to remember Dave by the Dave on BFFs, where he was like so lovable and great. And I feel like he's thrown into a shitstorm, and I hate that every time he defends me because he's being a friend and he's telling the truth, that it gets turned into like we're fucking having sex or like special treatment. I have never asked for one thing at this company ever. I have never asked for one thing at this company ever. Ever. It's so bizarre that the narrative that those Minifans have like ran with. But I mean, once people have this image of you, or they just like want to feel a certain way, or they get off on it, they're going to keep doing it. That's why it's not even worth the time or the energy to feed into it. But I did have a moment where I care less about the Kirk situation and more about Dave, and that's why we got into that argument on BFFs. But it was an awful way to see the guy go, man. I was like, damn, we had so many good memories on the show, and we're ending it on such a negative one. So yeah, I mean, I love Dave and BFFs, and I don't want that to be your last representation of like what BFFs was. But it's fucking over now, and I don't have to talk about Sydney Sweeney's boobs anymore. I don't have to talk about all of the stupid shit that me and Josh both don't want to talk about anymore. It's great. It's awesome. And I will miss that part of my week and that part of my life for sure. But I won't miss talking about that shit. Like, it just wasn't sustainable. We were done. Yeah. That's the BFFs of it all. The finale of Special Forces happened last night. I'm still like sick over it. I'm so fucking mad at myself, guys. Spoiler alerts are coming ahead. I tapped out and they said 10 minutes. I think it was 5 because my exit interview was right at the end of that gate. Like, you walk out and you do your exit interview, which they didn't even give me in the show. What the fuck? But I could hear them finishing when I was doing my exit interview. And that's after I went through, I mean, I did it all. I did everything. And then I didn't pass because I fucking didn't want to get buried alive. But I also was confused because the only one season I watched, which was Nick Viall season, Tyler Cameron, JoJo Siwa season, they had to say, like, at the end, if they didn't say they were Special Forces, then they didn't win. So Diva was confused. I thought you had to get to a point, and I knew it was nearing the end because we had already been being interrogated for like 24 hours or whatever at this point. I was like, okay, this is my final test. So you have to say you're with Special Forces. But I fucked it all up. I didn't know what was going on. I'm so proud of my journey on that show and how far I made it on the show. In my head, I'm very upset that I didn't finish it. But at the same time, I'm like, you did everything. Like, I can't say that I won the show, but I went on the show and accomplished what I wanted to get out of the show. It's like, I proved to myself that I can get through anything. I faced every single fear that I've ever had. I made and faced new fears on the show. I was mentally tortured. I was so vulnerable. And I still, when I thought I couldn't, kept going, which like will inherently changed my life forever, that show. I know it seems like, as you watch it, it seems so corny and it seems like, I don't know, scripted or whatever. It's like, why are they acting like they're actually in the military? Why is it so like cheesy when they say these things? It's because it's a psychological game. Like, the whole entire show, they are trying to break you down and read you like your psyche. And that's what they do. So they break you down into like versions of yourself that you don't even know. And behind closed doors, they're watching every single move that you do, every single conversation that you have. I think each episode should be 2 hours long, honestly, so you could fully grasp the entirety of this show, because there are missions that we went on in between these challenges almost every day that don't even make the episode. Like, there were times where we were conditioning, like after we climbed peak to peak from mountain on like episode 6 or something like that, we conditioned for hours after that on the bottom of the mountain, doing suicides up and down the mountain, doing lunges with our bags, doing burpees on like holding planks on the blistering heat, like our hands were bleeding with our Bergens on. They're screaming in our faces, like everyone almost tapped out. We're all crying, throwing up. Like, there's just so much shit that they don't show that goes into why we are so like mentally fucked on the show, and how it like comes to a point where we are just like truly the most vulnerable, stripped down, bare bones version of ourselves. So when you see me go into interrogation and I'm hyperventilating, like that was episode 7 that they brought me in. It wasn't day 3, but like I'm at the point where you have nothing left. Like you can't even try to mask your emotions at that point because you're so heightened. You're in fight or flight mode. You are so like you're so jumpy. Anything that anyone says could break you at any moment. And they want you on that cusp because it truly shows who has like the adversity or the grit to keep going throughout the shows. They don't get you to that mental position. It's like anyone could complete the course. Like if you're just doing these physical things and you're not also going through mental warfare, like anyone at the end of the day could make it on that show. But it's the brutal like mental psychological warfare that they put you through that makes it like admirable if you do get to the end. Otherwise it wouldn't even be a cool show. Like they genuinely put you through Navy SEAL, Sears training, because when you have these people that are going to be fighting for a military, you need to know that in any situation, no matter how much stress they are under or how much duress they're in, that they are gonna complete the mission. So keep that in the back of your mind as you're watching the show. The finale, I just want to walk you guys through it because they don't show it. All right, guys, quick commercial break. Your squad can hype you up, but they can't tackle your finances, okay? That's where experience comes in. It's your new big financial friend. It helps you stay on top of your FICO score. It helps you find ways to save. It helps you find credit cards that match your lifestyle, all in one free app. And it's seriously legit. Like it helps a lot. I've actually downloaded it and used it, and it's really helpful. There's a clutch move. Some of those cards are labeled no ding decline. So that means if you're not approved, your credit card score stays safe. So I'm telling you, it's legit. If you're in your friggin' 20s, you should have this app and you should be taking care of your FICO score and making sure your credit is good. So download the Experian app and share it with your fam because everyone could use a big financial friend. Applying for no ding decline cards won't hurt your credit score if you aren't initially approved. Initial approval will result in a hard inquiry, which may impact your credit score. Let's get back to the episode. We were awake by the time we got captured for about 24 hours. So the episode before, we were dropped in the middle of the mountains with a compass and a map, and we were on the run in the pitch black for, I want to say like 3 or 4 hours. And we finally get captured. And the second that you get captured, the bag that goes on your head doesn't come off unless you're being interrogated. And you don't want it to come off because then you're going to be interrogated. So the bag goes on our head. We get into the car. We have staff in our car with us. We're not able to speak to each other. We're not able to move the bag. We have to keep our hands like this, zip tied in front of us. And you're not allowed to breathe too loudly. And we drive 1 hour on these windy ass roads. You're flying all over the car with the bag over your head, with the goggles on. We don't know where our next location is. So we don't know that we are back on base until the bag is off of our head and we're like being tortured in the middle. So we are so terrified. We don't know where we're going. We get led out of the cars into this room that they said it on the show, but they just like lightly passed over it. This room had to have been the temperature of a sauna. And you have your full entire jumpsuit on. You have a bag over your head. You have the glasses over your face. So you can't breathe out of your like nose. You know when you get into bed and you're cold and you put the covers all over your head and you're under there, but with your breath work, like it gets too hot almost after a minute and you have to take your head out of the covers. It's that feeling, but you never get to take the covers off. So that in itself is a form of torture. And they put us in this room, which we can't see anything. So you're using your only senses that you have at this time before you put the headphones on or your ears. And you're like trying to hear where you are and like feel things and see where you're at. And I don't even know if anyone's in the room with me at this time. You think that you're just alone. So they put you in this room where they have fences on the wall and they put you in stress positions. So the stress positions that they use are all like tactical forms of torture to get information out of terrorists, out of murderers, out of rapists, out of drug people. Like these are actual interrogators that do this for a living and have interrogated a lot of scary people that we know about. But you can't like disclose that information, of course. And they put you in there You don't know what time it is. You can't see anything. You don't know what time of day it is. The only time that we could start kind of putting things together is when we heard birds chirping. But you don't know how much time is passing. So our first position is we're standing up straight, holding on to this chain link fence. You're in that position for like, I want to say an hour. Keep in mind, at this point, you haven't slept for 25 hours. You haven't eaten anything. You have been on the run. You're in a room that's 100 degrees with the bag over your head. They put headphones on you the second that you get in there. That everyone's like, what? We're playing in the headphones. Guys, full blast, screaming, crying babies, pigs getting slaughtered, and these frequencies that were like, you know, when you hear a dog whistle and you feel like you're going insane, it would just be going back and forth like a high-pitched dog whistle. Then it would go back to screams. Then it would go back to the pigs getting slaughtered. Then it would be these frequencies that would make you so scared, high-pitched, they would hurt. And you're not allowed to move. You're not allowed to take the headphones off, and it's full blast. This goes on. You're in this room and in these positions. Then you go in a stress position where you're crisscross applesauce with your hands above your head. And if you bend your back, they come around and knee you in your back with the sounds playing. That happens for like 3 or 4 hours. I don't really remember it because everyone, like all my friends are like, Brie, like what place mentally do you go to get through this? Because you have no like end in sight. You don't know what's next. You don't know what's going to happen. You're in this room. You feel like you're dying. You feel like it's going to be forever. I think I started to like disassociate. I started to like picture things and like see colors. So weird. I don't even know how to explain it. But every time a new sound would come on in my ears, like say the pigs were being slaughtered, I would see red. And then, you know, when you hold your eyes too tight, I don't know if this is niche or like this happens to everyone, but like when you're little, when you hold your eyes so tight, then you feel like you can like start seeing stuff, like you start seeing colors and shit. That's what I was doing. And then I would go off of the colors that I was seeing and try to like create a little movie in my mind and try to like dream while I was awake. And then when the babies came on, I would see blue and I would like try to bring myself to an ocean. And then when the frequencies happened, it would just all go black. And I was like, holy shit, what's going on? Where am I? So it was weird. I really liked when the babies were screaming, crying in my ears because it was blue in my head and I could like bring myself to, I feel like a chiller place. But then they bring you into interrogation and it's so scary. Like I had the big scary dude and he takes my bag off of my head. He has me strip all my clothes down. I was crying, laughing when I watched it, when they were like talking about the sunglasses and I put the sunglasses on my head. And I was like, you can have them. They don't look good on me. And I look like a literal meth addict. They crossed out all my tattoos. I really think I did crush my interrogation. They don't really show much of anyone's interrogation besides Andrew's because he absolutely cracked under the pressure. But like that day was my birthday, which was insane. That was the worst birthday I'd ever had in my goddamn life. I literally was getting tortured in Morocco for my birthday. And I talked about that, how it was my birthday. And like, I tried to like humanize myself and we were like laughing and I had my story on point. And like, I did really good in all of the talking interrogation points. Like I was proud of that because I thought I was going to fold and totally crack under pressure. But me and Sean had our lies together. And then they interrogate you. They put you back in the room for 5 hours and you go through that. And then they take you into the parade square where they make me call Cody all of these names. And they make me watch him get shit water poured on his head. They pour the shit water on my head. It's ice cold, freezing water. So your body goes into shock. And then it's so hot out. So then it creates like this chill on your body. You're shivering. Then there's stuff that they didn't show. After they were pouring all the stuff on me and Cody's head, they put us into the middle of the parade square, laid us on the ground like they were nailing us to the cross, like we were in a cross position. And they started waterboarding us there and they made us put the bag over our head, waterboarding us with the bag and made us lay in the blistering sun with the bags over our head in the cross position for an hour. Then they take us back into the room. You're being back with the bag in the stress positions for another 2 hours, guys. And then they take us back in. Another thing that they didn't show is they had me, Gia, and Sean. There was the mud pit and the pool. We would have to jump into the pool, go under, roll around in the mud pit, then roll around in the dirt, and then bear crawl in the dirt. We did this for like another hour, over and over and over and over. They put us back in the room, chain us back to the fences. And then the last thing that you see is the buried alive thing. So at this point, I'm like, this is either almost over, I need to say it, or this is going to go on forever. So if I do get kicked off right now, I will be happy. That's why when I went into my interrogation, I was like, thank fucking God, this is over. But you guys had so many questions about the show and who you guys think I ended up closest with. I feel like just because of who makes it to the final, I think it would just be like Sean, Andrew, and Gia were the people I ended up closest with because we went through the most together and we've seen each other the most after the show. But I'm super grateful that I've done the show. I would never do anything like it again, I don't think, unless I trained for it. But I feel like I already did that. Like, no one needs to do that twice. I don't want to be an army man. I don't want to go into the military. I clearly can't handle that. I'm not cut out for that. But I'm so grateful that I did it. And I'm so grateful for everyone that I met on the show. I'm super bummed that I didn't win, obviously. But in my head, I'm like, I made it to the end. Whatever. Maybe I would do it again just so that I could actually finish it and have that to be like, okay, I actually did win. But that would be psychotic and insane. I'd rather go on the challenge. So if anyone's listening to this that could put me on the challenge, please. And put me on a season with CT and make him my partner because I love him so much. I want to go on the challenge or Dancing with the Stars. No more military shows. Please, God help me. I can't fucking do it anymore. That's kind of the Special Forces lore. If you guys want me to do like a whole episode on it, I will, but I just don't want to talk about it for too long because some people didn't watch it. Maybe I could do like a YouTube video on it and answer all your questions, but I did so much fucking press for it this week in the past 2 months, honestly, that I'm over talking about it. I'm like, that chapter is also closed. I'm done with it. I've had to do so many interviews and talk about the same shit over and over, relive that awful trauma. I'm like, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad it's over. Next show. Let's move on. Okay, the moment you guys have all been waiting for. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the drama of the tea, but I need to talk about why the drama in the tea happened, like how it led me there, because I am getting, today I'm getting a Pronovo scan, which is not paid or anything. This isn't an ad. I actually reached out to them. If you don't know what a Pronovo scan is, it's basically a full body MRI scan, which has like this crazy technology. I really highly recommend it for anyone. Let me just all right, guys, quick commercial break. So we talked a little bit about Uber One for student membership earlier, but it really helps you save on the things that you're already using, like rides and eats. I'm pretty sure we probably use Uber Eats and Uber Rides every single day. Members get, especially in school, members get $0 delivery fees, up to 10% off eligible orders, 6% back in Uber credits on rides. Plus, you now get savings, surge savings. So it's an automatic discount when ride demand rises. Okay, amazing. You know when you like go to order an Uber and everyone's ordering an Uber, so it gets more expensive? Now, if you have Uber One, that means you get savings on it. It's just, you're just like putting more money back in your pockets. You can try it out for free for 4 weeks. Get Uber One for students and start saving on Uber and Uber Eats. Try it out now. Get your first 4 weeks for free. Become an Uber One for students member and start saving on Uber and Uber Eats. Eligibility and member terms apply. This year, earlier on this year, you guys probably see me post about it on my Instagram. My best friend, Josh Gallo, shout out Josh Gallo, was diagnosed with brain cancer, and he had a brain tumor for a long time that he didn't know about, and he was going golfing, had a seizure, and goes to the hospital. They find a huge tumor in his brain. He immediately had to get brain surgery. Thank God he's doing incredible. He just finished radiation. He crushed it. He's going to have to finish up chemo, and he's doing amazing. He's doing great because he caught it early on. And thank God that his body had this reaction and had this seizure, and he was able to go to the hospital and catch it. But we talk about it and it's like, holy shit, he is one of the healthiest people I know. There was no telltale signs of this happening. It's not like, his parents had it or it's something that he was worrying about or thinking about. It just happened. A very young, younger than me, healthy guy, lives a very healthy life, got brain cancer out of nowhere. And it kind of put, obviously, his life into perspective in the way that he talks about things. It's amazing how incredibly positive he has been throughout all of this. And just like, you would never know. Like, you would just never know that this man got fucking brain surgeries, cracking jokes right after. Like, it's incredible. But it puts into perspective how fragile and, scary life is. You never know what's going on inside of your body unless you go out and seek to get the help. So with this scare with Josh Gallo, I want to be as attentive to my body and preventative as I possibly can. And that's why I reached out to Pronovo, which is this so what it is, like I'm no scientist, so I have to like read what it is. I don't want to mess it up, but Pronovo, it's an MRI that uses an advanced MRI to perform a proactive scan, and it's able to detect solid cancerous tumors at stage 1 in around 500 other conditions. So you can catch a tumor at stage 1 in 500 other conditions. It's a traditional healthcare can be reactive and slow to diagnose disease, so leading to poor health outcomes for many conditions. So on average, Pronovo alerts 1 in 20 people to a potential life-threatening finding, which is insane. 1 in 20 people. I am nervous going into this, being like, holy shit, what if they do find something? But also, that's the point of this. It's like, if they do, that's why I went and got it done. So it's amazing because unlike other screening mechanisms, it doesn't use radiation, which in contrast, it makes it like a safe screening tool. It's just there to find anything early on. It's amazing. You can look it up and kind of look into everything that they can find, but it goes into literally like PCOS. Like they can find out if that's what I have. They can find out anything. They like literally, if something's in your little baby pinky toe, they're going to find it. And I'm doing that today because my friend story inspired me and I wanted to get ahead of anything, and you just never freaking know. So if I can inspire one person to do it, I would really hope they can go do this Pronovo. I'll get you guys a code soon. When I get my results, we'll talk about them together here too. But the reason I'm talking about that is because with that, I had to get my extensions removed, which I'm very upset about, guys. My hair looks so bad, but I had copper beads in my head. So with the scan, you can't have that. And I went to my old hairdresser, who I hadn't seen in we went out to dinner after my breakup, probably like, I don't know. I was living in my new apartment. So it had to have been in like January. It had to have been in like January, I think. And we went out to dinner. It was great. Love her. But I hadn't seen her since then because I switched hairdressers, because I switched extension types. So I go in to get my extensions removed with her because I don't want to go all the way to Staten Island. And it's great. We catch up. We're talking for like 2 to 3 hours. And as I'm about to leave, she's like, Brie, can I take you outside? Like I need to talk to you about something. My mind immediately went to, she was going to tell me that girls came in to see her and he was like, all these girls that he was cheating on me with. And I was like, it's fine. There's more that come out of the woodworks all the time. But I was like, I still don't want to hear it. Like, I'm so over it. But what she told me honestly was even more, like, it was amazing. I was like, no fucking shit. I mean, obviously, but get ready for the tea. She wanted to make a TikTok, but I don't want her to get any hate. It's like, I can handle the hate. She's the literal sweetest person in the world. If you want her to, she will. But she goes, Brie, this girl comes in like right after we went out to dinner. And obviously I'm already broken up at this point. The girl comes in, she shows my Sports Illustrated cover as her inspiration picture to like the assistants or whatever. And she's like, I want my hair to look like this. And it's me. So she sits down in Lily's chair and Lily's talking to her and she's like, so how did you get recommended here? Whatever. And she's like, my friend. And she's like, oh, who's your friend? And the girl's like, Brie. And Lily's like, oh, no way. Brie's my friend. I just went out to dinner with her. And the girl was like, oh, no. She's a friend of a friend. She's not actually my friend. Like, I just like heard through the grapevine to come here. I used to post this place every single day. Like that was my hairdresser. Lily got me through all of my hair transformations. She made me bright pink. She gave me my short blonde bob. She brought me from blonde to brown for the first time. Like everyone goes to her. All my followers go to her because they posted her so much. Like, you know, and so this girl doubled down and is like, no, I don't know her. She's a friend of a friend. And she's showing my picture for inspiration picture. It was Zach's new girlfriend. Or are they married now? I'm like, bro, they are perfect for each other. That is so fucking honestly sad and deranged. It makes me, I'm like, that's sad and deranged, dude. Like, I feel like, even when I'm talking to, like, last night I sent my voice memo to all of my friends. Like, it just makes you feel bad for that person. It's like, to want someone else's life after I came forward with all the abuse. Like, she's showing the picture of my Sports Illustrated cover, and the basis of that cover was to fight against abusive men, which is like the man that she's seeking out. It's sad. And like, I feel bad for the girl, to be honest, because I know what she's stuck with. But like, she wanted that. It's just so crazy to go. It's so deranged to go in and show me as inspo pic and then pretend to be my friend. Guys, I don't know who this person is. And she blocked me on everything when you guys all were like, she used to comment on all your photos. All of her friends followed you on TikTok. She had to unfollow them all. Like, she was my biggest fan, but she just wanted my life. So maybe she wasn't my biggest fan. It's crazy. And people are like, why are you talking about this? Why are you bringing this up? Because it's my fucking life. And that's iconic. I'm that girl. You bring in my inspo pic and you want my life is insane, dude. Like I said, feel really bad for her. Couldn't believe it. My hairdresser was like, there were so many times where I wanted to tell you, but I didn't want to bring up trauma. Like, I didn't want to say it in front of people. All of this, yada, yada, yada. It's insane. It's insane. And then she never went back to the salon because she got caught in her lie of saying that we were friends, which is so scary. I'm like, dude, with all of my stalkers, I gotta fucking get like a better deadbolt or something. I really gotta move where people can't find me. All my friends are like, lock your doors tonight, dude. She's gonna cut your skin off and wear it. In freaking sane. That's the drama. That's the tea with that. It's really not that crazy. All of you guys guessed it in the comments, to be honest. And she never went back. But I guess when she was sitting in the chair, when they were talking about me, she was like, yeah, everyone says I always look like her. I get it all the time. So make me look more like her, which is really scary. People make movies about that shit. That's like some Gone Girl shit. Fucking crazy. But I wish the best for the both of them. I think they're perfectly made for each other, and they're gonna have a lifelong, beautiful life of fun and happiness. I bet it. I can guarantee it. Yeah, that made me happy. I went to bed happy last night. I was like, okay. It kind of just like solidifies everything, and it's like, yeah. It solidified everything for me. I was like, I freaking won, man. I got out of that. I got away from that freaking hellscape. And now I have a crush from a guy that I met in Hawaii. Well, that I went to Hawaii with, because everyone thought I went to Hawaii and then got a crush on someone else, which is insane. But I got to go get my fucking brain scanned. Love you guys to death. Next episode, we have a fun guest, and I'm really excited about. Also, comment what you guys want. What do you guys want next? What do you guys want me to talk about? Who do you want on the show? I'm open to guests. I don't know if you guys prefer solo episodes or want guests. I know you guys loved Noah. Who knows? Maybe he becomes a monthly thing. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. I love you guys. And hopefully my brain and my body scan comes back safe, happy, and healthy. And I urge you guys to all go get one as well. Love you to death. I'm so glad Special Forces is over. Love you guys. Bye.